It's time to cut some rates. It's time to cut some rates. I wonder when it'll be. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day. We're going to be talking about everything that happened in the market today. Some choppiness across the board, but the broader index closing slightly in the green. We got the producer price index that comes out and is signaling, hey, I think it's time for Powell to cut rates. That optimism could be coming into the market here. We'll be seeing if that's going to be priced in here in the near future, if it's being priced in right now as we speak. We'll also be talking about Palantir, NVDA, Tesla, the big kaboomers right now that we've been keeping on top of the watch list. Hope everybody's been having a great day. Hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. We're getting close to 25,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit it here in the near future. Now, if we pop it up on the screen here, Palantir closes at 128.12, down a little bit on the day, consolidating, cooling off. Palantir is doing a great job cooling off at these all-time high levels. Recently, in the previous few days, we've seen Palantir pop above 130 and now settling down here, consolidating right at this level is amazing for Palantir and establishing some different support zones. Yes, I want to call this, a strong support zone or anything like that. It's only been a few trading days, but even to settling here is very well for Palantir. With a little bit of choppiness that we're seeing in the market, we're seeing a little bit of uncertainty. S&P 500 index gets above 5,900. Now, if that holds tomorrow, if we see a break and some resistance around that 6,000 line, that is where, this is kind of where we're sitting at this line right now. Is the bull market back, or are we going to see another pullback? That is the big question up in the air as we're seeing some sideways trading, some of these big tech stocks that are cooling off a little bit. Now, looking at Palantir in the overnight hours on Robinhood, is basically staying the same. 128.50. We're not seeing a ton of price movement. One big thing that we did have is Morningstar comes out here with an article, and I do like Morningstar in terms of their articles that they release, talking about is Palantir a buy, a sell, is it fairly valued, and they increased their price target to a pretty high level, considering that they are pretty conservative in their price targets. Well, we see Palantir here talking about releasing their first earnings report. Yeah, that was 10 days ago. We got that information, but what they talk about here, their fair value estimate is at $100. Now, if you look here, their fair value estimate has been hanging around $21 through like all of 2024, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to pop it up to $100. So you can see a lot of people hopping on the Palantir bandwagon right now. And what they're talking about, Palantir trading at 73 times its revenue, nearly a 400% premium. Holy Toledo. We know it's a high valuation, but hey, it's been at a high valuation for a long, long time. Compared to other software companies, we know this is very highly valued. But justifying these high expectations, they're doing that as we speak. Even though they're priced for perfection, what you see here is Palantir, working with these U.S. commercial customers, increasing that by 65% year over year. And we see the deals, not just the number, and the percentages of these customer accounts that are continuing to increase, but we're seeing the size of the deal, the actual capital behind, doubling agreements, worth more than $1 million. So on the bottom line here, raising their estimates, they also believe DOGE, the Golden Dome, the U.S. Missile Defense System, and the potential $1 trillion plus national security budget serves as a tailwind for Palantir's growth in the coming years. And I would agree in terms of a tailwind. What you see with DOGE in terms of cutting government expenses, what we do know in terms of defense is this administration loves defense. Palantir is at the forefront of that, and the fact that they're bringing AI solutions to that whole subsector shows you that they are a leading competitor, and they're basically like the top of the game right now in terms of AI and software and bringing true utility to these large language models. So Palantir right here, they're saying it's in a 3-star territory on their scale, indicating a risk-adjusted return potential. They're saying here that they see the stock move back into the $80 level. They believe an upside potential would favor adding shares. So at the $80, Palantir does have a good amount of consolidation. We saw during the whole, tariff scare when everything was coming down, Palantir didn't do that bad. Held here in the mid 80s. You can see for a good amount of time, dipping down to the 70s a little bit, but consolidating, building strong support in the 80s. That's a good spot for Palantir. So great to see here. fair value estimates. Morningstar kind of catching up to the game, talking about their financial strength. We know they're very strong. Palantir has nearly $1 billion in cash, $4.4 billion in market securities. A lot of those are in U.S. Treasuries, and no debt. Its liquidity position improved by $1.5 billion. Of course, there's uncertainty behind it. This is an AI software company. It's trading at a high valuation. Risk for downside potential is, of course, there. But for being on top of the game, Palantir knows how to do it. Even a quick clip right here. From the Palantir head of defense growth, Shannon Clark, basically came out and says that our decisive advantage is going to come from having the best software in the world. And they are very, very adamant about owning that they have the best software in the world in terms of AI solutions, AI data analytics. And I would agree with that. We can see that they're sticking behind what they're innovating, and this new sector that we're calling the AI revolution, they're on the top of the game with that. So great to see here. We'll continue to see Palantir consolidating at these levels. Who knows what's going to be happening to the price here in the near future. Looking at NVIDIA, next talk of the game. NVIDIA is sitting at 135. Now, NVIDIA has had a good run-up over the previous few weeks, where NVIDIA was kind of beat down here at about the 100. We've seen NVIDIA having a really, really good trade right here, a good swing up to 136. The big question is, where does NVIDIA go from here? We have earnings that are coming up here in the near future. That's going to be May 28th is earnings. We have some resistance at the 140 for NVIDIA. We do know we have the Saudi partnership, which is bringing a lot of optimism in terms of opening up this AI expansion, industry into the Middle East. And they want to be at the forefront of AI. We're seeing some large partnerships with large capitals and deals being made with Trump today, with different countries in the Middle East, like the UAE. We've seen with Qatar, and now, Saudis working together, and we see a lot of optimism that's coming into the market behind with these deals. Looking at where NVIDIA is right now, if this run continues, we're seeing in the broader market, depending what's going to be happening with momentum, if it breaks the 140 resistance, that's where we could see a push up to, NVIDIA possibly up to that 150s in that all-time high area. And with earnings coming up, that's going to even bring more volatility into the stock. So, definitely keep this on the radar. That's what I'll be doing. What we do have in terms of the broader market, time to cut some rates. That's what a lot of people are saying to Powell, as the U.S. producer prices unexpectedly fall in April. The producer price index for final demand dropped 0.5% last month after an upwardly revised unchanged reading in March. Now, economists had polled by Reuters here had forecasted actually the PPI rising 0.2%. So with the immigration crackdown, references, protection on trade policy, we're seeing all this. We're seeing a sharp drop in tourist travel, hurting airline ticket sales, hotel and motel booking. Wholesale services price dropped 0.7%, the largest decline since the government started tracking the series in December of 2009. So what we're seeing, wholesale prices are decreasing. Portfolio, management fees are talking about here. Airline fares, they are expensive too. It's expensive to fly. It's expensive to take a vacation. Everything's pretty expensive in this world. Just to take a trip is very expensive. So, prices coming down, that's not necessarily a bad thing to the consumer, like you and me, your average Joe. But this is another good signal, along with the CPI data, that inflation is coming down. Powell should be looking, hopefully, to be cutting rates here. There's a lot of pressure on that, especially from the administration. What we see with stock futures right now, they are a little change after the S&P 500 extending its rally for the fourth day. The S&P just basically finishes slightly in the green today, sitting at 59.16. That's where the index sits at. Above the 5,900, we could see a push to the 6,000 for the index, sitting at 0.4%. That's what people are looking out for. Great to see here. Tomorrow, it'll be interesting to see, especially what happens. Today, continuation over the past few days, we're seeing optimism coming into the market, of course, with the pause, the 90-day truce and the tariff measures, hoping to see the deals that will be coming out here in the near future, talking about the investor fears of escalating global trade tensions and rising risk to the economy. So market's kind of holding flat, and tech stocks doing a good job trying to hold it up. That kind of leads me to Tesla. Tesla's always been on has been on a great run this week, up about 15%, I believe. Tesla's sitting at 342 right now. Interesting point for Tesla to sit at. There's a lot of options volatility right now behind Tesla as we speak. A little bit of uncertainty a little bit of flatlining and stabilization that we've seen in the previous few trading sessions. With Tesla, I think a break above 350. You have some resistance at the 350 that's been touched a few times. We've seen some resistance at the 345 that's been touched a few times. A break above that, that's the question. A lot of people are starting to target 363 in terms of technical trading patterns. What we know is Tesla's been beaten down recently with just the the political tensions with Elon Musk and Doge. We've seen a declining in the actual, EV, the actual Teslas themselves, declining in vehicle sales. Why I've been recently pretty bullish on Tesla is not anything to do with their vehicles. It's about their AI. The AI embodiment that some people are calling it, some people calling this craziness, the AI embodiment, Optimus into the robots. Is that the future? Is Tesla going to be taking advantage of that? We see dancing robots on X. What's the future of that look like in 5 to 10 years? That's where I'm looking at with Tesla. Peace out. Take care. I'll catch you guys later. Have a wonderful day. What do you make of all this crazy mumble jumble? Down in the comments.